You know what time it is. You know what time it is.
How firm my friendship. Oh,
you know what time it is. Raw with them boys of the fall. You know what time it is. On the ground with a nose for the ball. You know what time it is. Blood, sweat, and them tears for this game. Leaving it all out on the field with no fear for you lames. And it's Buckeyes by a billion. We in the building with over 100,000. We represent from the uttermost to the public housing. And if we don't play, our wide receivers got your secondary shook, so they cook them like Bobby Flay. Hey, stay out of my way and trust me, cause I know it's a way. Somebody please give this brother an eye. Come on.
What up, Buckeye Nation? Welcome to the Buckeye Boys, where we talk about college football with real fans. I'm Devin. That's Mello hiding on the black screen there. And with us tonight, we got Buckeye Steve. As you can see, man, I had a new intro video. Still working on it. We got to make it bigger, right? So they can't see us in the background hiding behind there. But other than that, Buckeye Steve, thanks for joining us, man. How you doing tonight, bro?
I'm doing fabulous, man. Anytime. Always good. I like the intro. It was hot.
Yeah. I thought it was great. Shout out B Moses, man. He hooked us up with that. Been working hard at it. So we love it, man. Mello, all right, you're can you hear us?
Yeah, I was frozen for a minute, bro. For a long minute. I had to watch the intro on my phone.
That's all, seriously.
Yeah, because I was like, as soon as you hit the go live, everything just started spinning. You guys went blank, and I could just see myself frozen.
Yeah. Somebody in the chat saying something about volume. Hopefully they can hear us good. So I think they can. Chat, let us know if you can hear us or not. But had a little bit of news today. We're going to dive into a few things, a little bit of a recruiting update. We're also dive into some things with this upcoming season, man, what we see in the team that we want to get better. Get a little talk about Arvell Reese, man. He's the hot topic right now over on Buckeye Scoop. A little nugget got dropped today about what he's doing inside the Woody, man. So let's talk about it. Xavier Griffin, man, committed to USC, top 10 player in the nation, number 1 linebacker out of Gainesville, Georgia. I thought it was Gainesville, Florida. So I told Mello, I was like, hey, dude, I'm like 45 minutes from there. I'm going to drive over and visit him, see what's up. It's not Florida. It's Georgia. Taking an official visit to the Buckeyes. I'm going to get his highlight tape pulled up. Mello, let us know what you think about this, man.
First off, I got a shout out to my girl Pam in the chat. Thanks for joining us. She's here to critique me and the job I'm doing. So I appreciate you showing up. I know a lot of people are saying that this kid is the number 1 linebacker in the country. He is not. Tyler Atkinson is definitely better, but this kid is elite as well. If we get him and Tyler Atkinson and say Sincere Johnson and still commits or doesn't commit, honestly, James Laurinaitis is goated at that point and stamped, and no one can say anything else about him because Tyler Atkinson is the best linebacker in at least a decade to come out of high school, if not longer. So you add all 3 of those up, and it's ridiculous.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I'm not sure why I said best linebacker, number 1 linebacker in the country.
He is ranked number 1 on certain sites, so you weren't wrong.
I think 247.
247.
Yeah. Oh, okay. He is over there. So, Yeah, here's his film, man. I do know that Ohio State is recruiting him at linebacker / D end, right? He said back in 2024, he came to the spring game, and he said that they really didn't have his position in our defensive scheme. So he said he's excited to get back to Ohio State and see how he fits in the new scheme with the new defensive coordinator, even though we know it's going to be the same scheme, but Matt Patricia utilizes his players a little bit different. Steve, you got anything to add to this news today about Xavier Griffin?
I mean, just the fact that he's coming from a commitment to USC, right? If we pull him from another conference foe, along with the other linebackers that we may or may not get, you're right. He's going to be goated up. And every position coach is starting to look like they're the best recruiter in the nation at Ohio State. It's amazing, man. It's getting awesome. And it's like, what position can get better now? You got the offensive line recruiting with the best of the nation. always had the wide receivers recruiting the best of the nation. Now you got, and you've always had really the DBs recruiting at the best of the nation. You know, the last couple of years, things are just getting crazy. It's like,
yeah,
you couldn't make this up any better.
Yeah, I know. So I'm going to keep it real fast, right? So I believe we're going to land Sincere Johnson, right? There's a couple places to have him listed as defensive end man, and I'm just convinced that's what he turns into. But let's stick with the linebacker right now. Then we're in on Tyler Atkinson and Xavier Griffin. I don't see how we could possibly land all those, right? All those players. I don't think there's room. If that happens, I mean, my goodness. But I mean, that would just be something special. But I see that being talked about a lot right now as well. If James Laurinaitis is able to land Tyler Atkinson and him, you know, my initial thought to that would be no way. But any guys got anything to add if we were to land all these guys?
Just blown away. Absolutely blown away. Can you imagine that? Just watching that every single day at practice would be amazing. You know, you'd line them up there, and there's a case for all three of them to start right away.
Absolutely. And I mean, well, I think Riley Pettijohn is definitely starting next year, regardless who comes in this class personally. But what will happen is Kirby's going to start looking at Glenn Schumann like, is it time for a change? Because Glenn Schumann is considered LB coach out there, the best linebacker coach. I think it is James Laurinaitis residing in Columbus, Ohio, and the rest of the world is about to find out about it. They're just late to the party, you know?
Yeah, we Steve, man, you said something, right, about how well the Buckeyes are recruiting. Not the show notes or anything, but it's a very hot topic right now in Buckeye Nation. We've done a couple videos on it. We lean more towards the positive side of it, but give us your thoughts on defensive line recruiting right now and Larry Johnson and kind of your opinion on that situation we're going through.
I mean, so far so good. Larry Johnson seems to always produce. And it doesn't matter whether you're bringing in transfers or you're developing guys. At the very end of it, those guys always get drafted. So he's got a resume that speaks for itself. I think you just got to wait and see what happens this year, particularly at the defensive tackle position, because we didn't get those transfers in. But what I was thinking about today is, like, they're going to mix stuff around a little bit more, and they got defensive ends galore. It's just the depth at DT that we all know. That's where the issue is. So are some of these defensive end guys going to be able to gain some weight and shade inside a little bit? That would be one of the things I would pay attention to a little bit more in this offseason is how much weight do these guys gain? Are they going to move inside to provide some more depth?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's it. I brought that up. I brought it up several times about the fact that, you know, if you're a little bit worried about our D-line this year, if you are one of those people, number one, we got Matt Patricia coming in that will utilize the strength of our players. Now, where is the strength at? Beautiful transition into the next topic. That's linebacker, man, with Arvell Reese, Sonny Styles. You know, Riley Pettijohn can come in, and then I don't know why I'm forgetting the name of our third linebacker, Peyton Pierce. Yeah, Peyton Pierce. With him getting able to play up like this, man, you could see three linebackers out there with Arvell Reese or Sonny Styles lined up at the defensive end position, right, potentially, and maybe make up if we're going backwards a little bit on the defensive line. If you're one of those people that believe that, I don't think you can argue that we're going backwards at linebacker. I think we're going to have a serious jump forward at the linebacker position. No, that's not me saying negative stuff about Cody Simon. That's just the type of freak athlete that Arvell Reese is. So why don't you guys hit on that, man? The excitement that you guys have for Arvell Reese this season, especially knowing how Matt Patricia has utilized players in the past in his defensive schemes.
Well, for me, man, I'm super excited for the linebacker position in general. It's not just Arvell Reese, who I think is going to have a tremendous season. It's also Sonny Styles playing his second year ever. Let me repeat that again. His second year ever playing linebacker. It's only going to go up from here. You know, if you take how he ended last season and what he's projected out to be this season, they already have him projected as a top a top 5 linebacker returning in all of college, period. So you're talking about a 6'4" kid and a 6'6" linebacker next to each other, 260 pounds, 240 pounds. Like, they're going to be monstrosities on the field, and they're going to give O-line and quarterbacks nightmares and tight ends.
Steve, what's your thoughts, man?
I mean, these linebackers are studs, and you hit the nail on the head. Sonny Styles, his second year starting in there, he's a freak of nature, and he's a big dude in and of himself. Coming from the backfield as a safety, playing in the middle is completely different than anything he's ever been accustomed to. And you see what he did last year. He was a stud. At one more year, he's going to feel comfortable out there. He's a leader on the team. You're going to see a lot out of Sonny Styles. I'm pumped about him. I'm pumped about Sonny Styles. Peyton Pierce, of course, everyone's raved at him. And Arvell Reese is a man-child out there. Yeah. He's just absolutely a man-child. There is no holes in this linebacker crew, I don't think at all. Like, we got speed, we got toughness, we got big dudes, and we got people that can fill the hole.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. Aaron wants to know why Eli Lee isn't being talked about that much. It's not that Eli Lee can't have a bright future here. He's a heck of a player. He's from Ohio, different type of linebacker, but has always been more of a developmental linebacker. Every player matures as a player at a different rate, man. So we've seen it, I don't know how many times at Ohio State, where 3rd and 4th year players come out of nowhere, essentially. I think we're going to see it this year with a couple different players. But this is no disrespect to Eli Lee at all. As a football player, I love that dude's film, his work ethic from Ohio. There's a lot to love about Eli Lee as well. And you never know what he's going to turn out to be, you know? So, real fast, man, I just kind of skipped it. Chat, I didn't forget about you guys. We appreciate you guys showing up tonight, man. Hit that like button and share us on your X, your Instagram, and your Facebook. If you would, it's good to see all the people that are always in here, man. Good to see you guys. So another recruiting thing real fast, man. 247 updated a lot of their recruits today, Mello. I don't know if you saw that or not, but I was scrolling through, and a lot of Buckeyes didn't move very much, but only 2 of them went up and the rest went backwards. Sam Greer went up a few spots, and then I do not remember who the other one was, but I just found that funny. Steve, me and Mello are always on here complaining about, the recruiting services and, how they rank the players. And we always call con 3 because sometimes Buckeye players go down. Mello, any thoughts on that? Or Steve, any thoughts on that? Are we believing this is going on right now?
I'll let Steve go first.
I think, in a way, every fan base sees that a little bit, but a lot of the recruiting gurus spend more time in the South, and that's just a matter of fact. There's more population in a lot of the bigger cities. People are moving to the South, so they spend more time down there. And I think that Midwest gets underrated, especially Ohio players, because they're not doing the spring ball where there's another chance for the recruiting services to get out there and look at them. So I think that weighs into it a little bit, but I also just don't think they've spent enough time in Ohio, particularly with the amount of NFL athletes Ohio produces on a year in, year out basis. They need to spend a little bit more time up here to know what our athletes are really like. And also, once they commit, and we got a lot of guys that are committing early, that drives the process, right? So if you're trying to make money with clicks and someone's already committed, that's not going to really help you. We're getting a lot of early commits because Ryan Day is just running a show.
So I lean more towards the latter of what you said, but honestly, what are they watching? I mean, there's no real football being played right now for you to even mess and tinker with it. That's the problem me and Dev have with Con 3 and these recruiting services, or they're sitting here saying this kid has a crystal ball to go to this school. And me and Dev talked to these kids, and we're like, what? That's the last time we talked, Dev was not what he said. So we asked them, they're like, no, I wish I knew where I was going. I don't know how they know. Exact quote. Like, I don't know how they know. So, like, you got to take it with a grain of salt. That's also why another reason me and Dev started this channel, to bring recruits on. You can hear directly from them, from the source, and there's no questioning about it. Like you hear from them. Of course, things are fluid in terms of recruiting, so things can change as it goes. But you can hear directly from there and form your own opinion. We're cutting out the middleman doing this. That's basically what we're doing. But I have no problem cutting out the middleman because you like to play with our recruits and their rankings. And if you don't know, they're catching on to that.
Yeah, man, for sure. We've talked about that so many times on this channel, but to get back to it, the recruiting class that Ohio State has right now, what Ryan Day is doing with this coaching staff and whatnot. I brought up the Larry Johnson thing. Steve, I share that opinion with you of, hey, let's wait and see, right? Because I like last year's class. We went through his past classes. We identified the classes that we missed on. We missed in those classes because the late flips happened. The bags of cash got dropped and the Justin Scotts went to different things like that, right? But last year made up for it, got our numbers in that we needed. So we'll see about this year. So here in the Buckeye Boys, we talk a lot of positive things about Ohio State football. It's not because we're sunshine pumpers or anything. It's just because the fact of the matter is there's a lot of positive things to talk about when you're talking about Ohio State football. Not a lot of negative. We just won a national title. Our recruiting classes are off the chain. I mean, we got the best defensive player in the country. We have 4 of the top 10 returning players in college football, according to some people's charts. So a lot of positive things, but I kind of want to take a little bit of a turn here. Not that it's a negative topic, but I know us as fans and us as football analysts, whatever you want to call us, right? We like to analyze things and think, man, I wish this would get better. Man, I wish this would happen. Man, why doesn't Ryan Day? Why doesn't Coach Larry? Why doesn't, we all got those little lists. So I kind of want to dive into that, man. What was like some of your guys' concerns last year that you just wished would have got better? What improvements do you hope to see this year? Steve, we'll start with you, man. I know I got 2 things really that's on my mind, but Steve, we'll start off with you.
I mean, before the show, we talked about it's rotation. We got to get the younger guys more time and meaningful snaps than we've had in the past. We saw what happened with offensive line last year, and I think that's really sticking out in Ryan Day's head right now because he wants to rotate, have an A and a B position. They've done that in practice before, but I want to see it in games. Get these guys some reps at their B position. That's what I'd like to see. I want to see in a blowout game a third, or in this case, second or third quarterback get in and get some live reps coming off the heater. We've seen it in that bowl game against Missouri where we didn't have our second and third string guys ready to go when we needed them the most. Not ready to go, not willing to take chances with them because they weren't ready to go. We got to get them ready in the blowouts. We got to get them some time. Every single game, there's a chance to get them in at least a couple snaps. Obviously Texas isn't going to be the game to do that, but 3 games after that, you have time to get the backups rep for sure. And they need meaningful reps.
Absolutely. For me, you stole mine. So I'm going to go a little different angle because we all could easily say the same thing. I think that's number 1, probably on all of ours for improvement. For me, no more cage rushing. I want them to let the DNs loose, let them rush, let them use the arsenal of rush packages that they have and LJ is working on with them, and let them go ahead and put it into the game and utilize it. That's what I want to see. I want to see more pressure from the edge and to just free the defensive edge and get pressure on the quarterback. I want to see the Chase Young defensive ends, not the Jim Knowles defensive ends, if that makes sense to you guys.
You're going to be a happy man this fall. The edge rushers we got, it's going to be a show.
Yes, sir.
I agree with that, man. But Steve, rotation, 100%. I agree with you. That's number 1 on my list. It kind of has been for a couple years now going on. So it just doesn't really make sense to me sometimes. If there's a method to the madness, I haven't been told what it is. I haven't been told one that, not that anybody needs my acceptance of. Brian Day doesn't need me to accept why he does things. You won a national title, bro, do what you do. But it's just like I haven't heard a reasoning behind this, right, that really makes much sense. The one I've heard a lot of is, well, they're not going to, I guess in more meaningful snaps, it's if they're not ready to come in, they're not going to play them too early. Well, that's how you get players better, is how I've thought. Give them that experience. You hear Ryan Day say that over and over again. That's why they went live more often than not this spring, is because that's what this team lacks, is experience. We had 14 players, get drafted and, lost a couple more on that. So we're bringing in a lot of new players. How do we make them veteran players? We get them on the field, and let them make mistakes. I think that's an overall general thing. Buckeye Nation screams rotation an awful lot. I could have ripped my hair out a couple times last year watching Tyleek Williams play the entire, thing. And you wonder why in fourth quarter they're able to rush down our necks. The dude is, he's 340 pounds. You know what I mean? And then Mello, that was on my list too. I want to see after Oregon defense this year, but we're going to see all kind of different things this year when it comes to defense. I mean, that's a whole other topic in itself. What are we going to see different on defense? How different is it going to look? I mean, are we doing 4-2-5 all year? Do we see some different, mixes up there? I'm sure that we will. The thing on my list, man, and Ryan Day, I guess, has addressed it in a certain way, and that's special teams kicking. I wasn't too thrilled with the punting last year, and I wasn't too thrilled with the field goal kicking. Now, Fielding in the playoffs did his job, did his thing, but still kind of iffy on some of those farther kicks. So see what type of leg he has, man. We brought in Jackson Corvell, the kicker, who was 2 for 2 or 3 for 3 from 50 plus yards last year. And they were in like high pressure situations. Like, go watch his film. He's not just kicking and go out there and kick because they're down 20. It's game winning field goals. So you can see that he has that leg and that mentality to kick in those Georgia type of situations. At least that's what his film shows us. But Ohio State's a little bit different than where he came from. So a little bit more pressure there. And then, man, that 6'7" Aussie punter that Ryan Day said was the starter last year, and then we didn't see him play a snap of football. I just don't want to know what's going on there. I mean, we saw a video of him punting it out of a football stadium. So I'm like, where's this dude at? You know what I mean? But I don't want to sound like I'm complaining, right? We're nitpicking here. I always say this, man, that's what we're doing. If we're going to complain about recruiting, we're complaining about D-line recruiting right now, and yet we're got a top 5 class. You know what I mean? These are Ohio State issues. But Steve, anything else on your mind about things you're maybe hoping to see from the team this year get a little bit better?
I have to go back to a time I asked Larry Johnson about rotation, and he said, yeah, absolutely, we want to rotate, but I'm not going to just put a player out there just to put a player out there. This is Ohio State. So that mindset, we got to interweave that a little bit, because he doesn't want a guy going out there and making mistakes, even if it's against Purdue and they're up 38-0. He wants them to be top of the line, showing, it's his kind of reputation. If he puts a guy out there and then he's just getting, skated down the field or whatever it may be, not knowing the plays and disrupting some of the linebacker play. So that, it's hard to say, from their perspective, get him out there, go make mistakes, because he wants nothing but the best of the best of the best, right? It is Ohio State. We want to see the best. You got to prove it in practice to get on the playing field. So I understand there's a more dynamic to it than what we want to see. Like, I'm willing for a guy to go out there and make mistakes, but is Larry Johnson willing to do that?
For sure. Yeah.
So in terms, I want to stay right there for a second. I understand what LJ is saying, but they're already Ohio State caliber players. You recruited them to Ohio State. So you have to put them in those games, especially those games you're not going to lose. They have to make mistakes to get better. That's the only way you're going to get better. And you can't have them scared and nervous like, oh, if I make this mistake, I'm never playing again, because then they're going to play tight. And you don't want that either. So I'm hoping that they getting this chip off his shoulder by getting the championship. He's more relaxed and loose throughout the season, no matter if it's the team up north or we're playing Grambling State. And it trickles down to his assistant coaches, so that way they're loose, would trickle down to the players, and then they rotate these players because we have to. You have to. This is football. People going to get injured. Hopefully not. I pray to God we don't have any serious injuries. We may do last year. Thank God the development was there. But if they didn't play, we would be nervous about the O-line this year again, right? So I hope that LJ really thinks about that when he's rotating the players, because like Dev said, and he could speak to this, and I would love for him to speak to this, what he saw October 12th at Autzen Stadium with Oregon at the end of the game and with the defensive line. So I'm throwing that to Dev.
Yeah, man, they were absolutely gassed. I mean, I was right there. I mean, I'm right there staring right at him. You could see them all hands on the thing. I mean, Tyleek was down on one knee. I mean, they were barely getting out of their stance in that fourth quarter when Oregon was just driving down the field, like literally. I mean, they were tired. They were wore out. But not to like bash on LJ or anything. He's the GOAT, right? I think that's why there's this problem. Like, you look at the NFL, charts that show D-line production. The past 10 years, Ohio State is number one in defensive line production in the NFL. That's Larry Johnson. But the issue with saying, the next question that arises, if you're going to say, hey, man, I don't want to put them out there if they're not ready. I don't want guys blowing by me and stuff. That issue is a two-parter, man. Number one, you recruited them here. They're a high-state caliber. And number two, whose job is it to get them ready? You know what I mean? So that's where you can kind of go back there. And this is football, man. So there's so many variables that are involved in why a player isn't ready. No, we have no idea whose fault it is that a Jason Moore is going into the year he is. He's a top 100 player, and he's not trusted to get put on the football field yet. We don't know what that is, but Larry's track record is elite developer.
Yes.
So I guess that's what we fall back on. So, but then you're saying, okay, well then is it these players? I mean, are they not put, you see what I'm saying? There's just this long trail of whose fault is this at this point in time. But just went on a long diatribe, man. You guys got anything else, that you want to see the team pick up on a little bit this year? Or are you guys ready to move on to a new subject?
I want the offense to keep doing those counter schemes. Yeah. When they open that up against Tennessee and then Oregon, the variations off the counter were just out of this world. And with the athletes we have, oh my goodness. It just opens up so many lanes. And they did it last year based on the personnel. Like, they changed things up because of who they had on the offensive line. Well, guess what? You got most of those guys back, at least on the interior, and then some studs coming in on the outside. Ethan Oniawa is going to be one to watch all season. You're just going to see cleats flying. He is going to go first round. It's going to be fun, man. If it's not cleats flying, it's going to be pancakes, man.
I love that.
Yeah. So you've been in the Woody,
right?
And so have you seen him in person?
Oh yeah,
and watched him play. Okay, so give us a little diatribe on him, man. I want to hear what he's like seeing in person.
You saw that viral video when he did that smelling salts and just went nuts.
Yeah.
When he first committed, I mean, he's the most underrated guy that you could get out of the portal, and we got him. It's going to be insane. He's huge. He came in and they basically said, yeah, you're left tackle from the start. Like, no questions asked. You got it. You got the job. They did say, we want you to lose some weight. He lost some weight and he's more athletic now. He's bending better. It's going to be fun to watch, man. It's going to be really fun to watch him. He is a big dude and he's got an attitude about it. He's like, you put those two together and a work ethic to lose that weight on top of it. And then Tyler Bowen being a big dude too, can push him around in practice.
Yeah.
Man, it is going to be fun, dude. I'm telling you, just watch that guy. First snap against Texas. I fully expect him to just knock someone down right away.
I love to rank our offensive line nationally, you think, going into the year?
Well, I just was hearing about that on a podcast somewhere, and I can't remember who it was, but they're like, I don't really think we should, because they lost these two best players going in the NFL draft, and I'm like, those guys, Donovan Jackson, he's huge. We lost him. But then you bring in that Oniawa to replace him. And I'm like, he's going to be a first rounder too, dude. And then Saraveld's automatically a starter now. So we know Iron Buckeye, they don't just give those out in the Woody. The dude's shown he can do it in the past. Now he's going to be a starter. Ryan Day said that. And that's not something that Day does. He's not like, this dude's a starter.
Yeah.
No.
It doesn't really do anything for you as a head coach to say that. So we know he's going to be a starter. Onyeonwa is going to be a starter. And then we got a whole host of guys in the middle.
Yeah.
I mean, and that experience that we got from last year with all those injuries made it so much better for this year. It sucked for last year.
Yeah.
Still got a national title. Those guys are back, got that rotation. That's why the rotation's important. And that's why Ryan Day knows it is now. And the whole team knows we got to rotate. We got to be ready. It's a longer schedule, 16, 17 games. There's going to be some times where you need that backup to play.
Yes, sir. So for me,
did I even answer your question?
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
All right, good.
Absolutely. You did thoroughly. You did a great job. I love it. For me, I'm going to touch on what you said about the counter and run game. I want the counter pass game off of that. That's what Chip was doing so well. He had the same patterns that we were running the ball on into passing and play action. He could run play action bootlegs off of it. And we saw JJ in the Rose Bowl right in front of me and Dev, wide open. I'm talking about no one near him. He sat there, waited for the ball, and just walked in and pointed at the guy. That was off of the same play that they ran earlier, where they ran the ball. So I want to see them throwing the ball for counter schemes as well. And the other thing, the main thing I really want to see, I want them to continue to use Caleb Downs the same way they did at the end of last season, playing about 10 yards, 8 to 10 yards of depth. But I also want them to elevate his draft stock. Let him cover some of these tight ends and some wide receivers. Let him show that part of his game because he has it in spades. There's people questioning if he could cover. I think they're absolutely insane. But let him do it a little bit just to show that and put that on tape for the scouts in the NFL draft. That will lock him up. Guaranteed top 10 if he puts that on tape as well.
That's one of the
if you want him to go higher in the draft.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
That's one of the number one things that changed this defense is freeing up Caleb Downs. Is Jim Knowles essentially putting Caleb Downs in the middle of the field and saying, do your thing. Like that is one of the main differences after the Oregon game. It really is. So I think when you look at Matt Patricia and his history, I think we're going to see even more of that because when you got a player like that, if there's a defensive coordinator that will utilize a player's strengths, I mean, that's the number one thing I heard talked about Matt Patricia is that how he's able to utilize. And that comes from his time at the Patriots when they were winning all the time. Yeah. They didn't have high draft picks, so they couldn't go out and just pick and choose what skill players they wanted. So they changed the way they drafted. They went out and simply just picked the best player that was available when it was their pick. And they changed their scheme according to that player. Matt Patricia talked about this in an interview that we watched. And, you know, just based off that right there, that you could tell the dude's a rocket scientist because that's that sounds pretty smart to me anyway. It sounds great. I mean, and it seemed like it worked for him. So
no, I agree.
I love it, man.
It's definitely smart and it is great.
Yeah, I kind of went on a little diatribe. I forget what we even talked about before Caleb Downs. I was going to say something else, but
what we want to see this season from the team, basically.
Yeah. I knew that, but we were talking about something, and man, that's why I need to keep writing these things down over here because I get too many thoughts going through my mind when somebody's talking. It keeps reminding me of this, and then it reminds me of that.
Oh yeah,
does that happen to anybody else?
Absolutely, always.
Absolutely, all the time, bro.
You get done with the conversation. Where were we at? All right, let's get back in. But I don't think Downs being moved up. I don't necessarily think that was a product of Knowles. I think that was a product of necessity. Yep,
I do too. Yeah,
it was.
When I said Knowles, in my mind I'm thinking, well, I know. I mean, I think Brian Day made him do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that was the meeting after the Oregon game. Yeah. I mean, he's the safety coach, right? So if it came from him, that would only make sense. Like, let's just let our best player play football.
I wish we were a fly on the wall in the Woody from October 12th to the natty run and just in the coach's room. You know what I mean? Not
After
even
that,
in the locker
after
room
that
with the
Michigan
players.
game too.
Yeah,
Oh,
the
man.
whole
Blair and
time.
Ryan Day meeting. I would have loved to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you were to ask yourself in your history of watching Ohio State football, mine's a lot shorter because of my passing stuff, but pick the one moment you wish you were a fly on the wall in the Buckeye locker room. Mine is 100% that players only meeting. I really would love to witness that and see that. But I remember what I was going to say, man. We started off, I think we all missed on number one. We think rotation's number one. I think you guys will agree with this. My number one thing that I don't want to see this year is another team up north offensive effort. That's the number one thing we cannot have this year. That might take over number one, but then you're getting pretty specific there. But we can't be having that again.
No, that's number one, hands down.
And someone mentioned in the chat earlier, I don't remember who it was, but they said they want to see the pass open up the run. And that's what happened this year. And I think that was a product of the offensive line being not so sure on the offensive line and knowing that we had a good passing game. I mean, Jeremiah Smith and Emeka Egbuka are on our team, right? So
yeah,
it was almost common sense, right? That's what you need to do to open up the run. And they finally did that when they got in the playoff run. I don't even know that they'll need to do that this year, because I think our run game is going to be just as strong with that interior offensive line and having bookends that are as good as last year.
So you've seen them play. I got to ask you this question because I was told this by prospect recruit, and they said that they were told, and what they were told by Coach Locke, that the run game is going to be better this year than even last year. Now, I want to hear your thoughts on that, and if you think that it is going to be better, why? Is it because of the line or because of the backs? Because replacing Q and Trey is like no small feat.
I don't think that that's something that you're going to be able to, you're not going to meet that level of running back in a long, long time. I mean, that's maybe once in a lifetime thing that's going to happen, where you have the, all-star from the SEC be like, I want to jump ship and join the all-star from the Big Ten and see what happens.
Yeah.
I mean, recruiting well, we're recruiting great, and getting CJ Donaldson out of West Virginia, getting them slimmed down and getting them running is awesome too. But I just don't think that you're going to meet what they had last year. Now, there were question marks on the offensive line, in particular on the interior after losing some guys, and obviously on the outside when you lose Simmons. They're going to be more comfortable with the running game because of the offensive line that's returning. So if it is better, I would lay that on the offensive line. We have awesome running backs.
Yeah.
And a running back is always the product of the offensive line anyway. You can have an average of a running back look great if you have a good offensive line, and there's holes everywhere.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%, man. If we do have a better run game, it's going to be the offensive line, and that's no shade at Peoples or CJ or Bo Jackson. It is what it is. Those are two very experienced backs. They both went in the second round. That's not a normal thing to happen on a team. But, I think CJ Donaldson's going to be great and whatnot. But I'm glad you brought up the pass. I hope we pass to run versus run to pass it. Dude, I swear, man, when I first started this, I wasn't that knowledgeable about football. So I would always listen to people break down film. I would listen to people talk about football. And I'm talking OGs. I'm talking people that used to be coaches. And I would always hear, man, they got to be able to run the ball. That's what got talked about last year. What's the most important thing? They got to run the ball to open up the pass. They got to run the ball to open up the pass. But because of my lack of experience in football, I never opened my mouth, but in the back of my mind, I kept thinking, that sounds so stupid to me. I think it depends on what team, who you have on the team, who your quarterback is, who your receivers are, who's your offensive line, who's your running back. And how in the world can you not pass the ball to open up the run game? If you can run it to open up the pass game, then it only makes sense that you can pass it to open up the run game. And, dude, I got in so many arguments with people over that. They're like, no, that's not football. You got to be able to run it. You got to be able to run it. And I think that's one of the biggest differences that we saw in this offense, because we had two moments last year where the team changed. One of them was after the Oregon game on the defensive side. One of them was after the Scum game on the offensive side. And what they did after, I mean, the Tennessee, throw that thing in the air, dude. Throw it up to number 4 and watch what happens. And that, I mean, you saw the play in Texas, the screen to Trey Henderson. Why? Well, because we've got number 4 and we're launching the ball down the field. You know what I mean? And he's Trey Henderson, great blocks, the whole thing. But it opens us up. So that's just always crazy to me, man. There's still people that say that. The foundation is being able to run the pass, and I just don't share that sentiment at all.
No. It's a chess game. So, what is the other defense expecting? Are they expecting you to run or expecting you to pass on first down? So you gotta go back and forth. It's a give and take a little bit. You start seeing those safeties creep up from the running game. That's when you start passing. But when you're passing, everyone's backing off the line real quick because they know that you're going to get an open dude, or they're creeping out to the outside. They're double teaming number 4 because everyone needs to do that. So yes, you could definitely use the pass game to open up the run. And why we didn't think of that earlier in the season, I don't know. That's beyond me. Because I was screaming it, and half the fans everywhere were screaming it during the Michigan game. I shouldn't even say half. I think pretty much everyone, even the Michigan fans, were like, "This is stupid."
Mm-hmm.
I was literally screaming it, literally. And
and that's the last thing I want to put in there.
She was freaking out.
I think you guys will all attest to this, even the chat. And I pulled it up on the screen. I forgot who posted the comment, but I want to see our run blocking and our pass blocking. No drop off. I want it the same as last year or even better. If we do that, I think this team could go as far as they want.
I think that's going to be Coach Locke. I don't think he's going to let them drop off at all. He loves that, and he's an animal. Like, get back to the line, do it again. You didn't block him, get back to the line, do it again. And he's going to be on them. He doesn't take no shit.
Oh, not just the running backs. I want the wide receivers blocking too.
They
did
for sure.
A phenomenal job blocking last year.
You don't come to Ohio State and play wide receiver if you're not blocking. It's just that simple. You're not going to play.
Yeah. That's the other thing. I don't know why this just popped in my mind, but when we're talking about the pass to run and run the pass thing as well, this involves the running backs being able to pass block well. Is when you're watching an offensive line, probably the biggest thing I learned last year from a football fundamental standpoint with watching film and whatnot is how much the scheme will affect how the offensive line looks. You know what I mean? If you got somebody calling certain plays, man, you could have the best offensive line out there. They don't look very good. You can scheme it up like Chip Kelly and make the, offensive line's job way easier, build their confidence up, and then they're able to handle more things. So that's another attribute of that thing that I'm excited with. That Brian Hartline got to spend time, what has it been, 8 years now with Ryan Day. And then he got to spend a year behind Chip Kelly to come in, because that's one area that if I had to pick, I know everybody, what's the quarterback going to be like? What's the defensive line going to be like? Right now, if you ask me what my number one, it's not necessarily a fear or a worry, or I just can't really explain it. The biggest question marks I have is, how is Brian Hartline going to handle calling the plays? Where are you guys at with that? How much confidence that you have that, you know what I mean? We're going to be able to just flow right into it. I think there's going to be a learning curve, man.
There's always a learning curve when it comes to flow, like when you're calling what at what times. But I think he's had that experience, like you said, with Ryan Day. He also had Chip Kelly there last year, and then bringing in, the Virginia Tech, Tyler Bowen. He's had experience. So they're all, it's a team approach, but you got to have one guy have the last say. So I think he's just got so many people around him that are going to be able to help out too, that I think it'll flow a little bit more easily. And he's been in this system. It's not like he's learning a new system. He knows when to call the pass plays. And I think that's where you're going to see a lot of the pass to open up the run, because he knows what he's got in that wide receiver room, and he knows that they can open it up. The difference is going to be, do we have the quarterback that's knows he's got to take that shot? You got to take that shot. You have number 4. Take that shot.
I think so.
The guy that can get that pass to number 4 the most amount of times is going to be the starter.
I think we got the guy, man, because you saw Julian Sane come in last year on like 3rd and 8 and chuck a bomb down the field to Carnell Tate, and Ryan Day was screaming at him on the sideline. So I don't think Julian Sane's gonna be afraid at all to just launch that thing down the field, man. That just got popped right when you said that. That's exactly what I thought. I think Mello did too. He started laughing there.
Speaking of screaming, I got another topic for you. That Texas game at noon.
Yeah.
No, never mind.
How pissed. How pissed. Hey, if you want to get negative, we can get negative real quick.
Yeah. I know, right?
So for me, I hate it for us as a fan for the recruiting aspect, just for the environmental aspect for the away team, because that Tennessee game is lit. It was going crazy in there, right? But listening to players last year, the players themselves prefer the noon game because it's hard just sitting in a hotel doing walkthrough after walkthrough after walkthrough, laying around in your room all day. They said they preferred the noon games, every single one of them. So for me, if they're going to play better at the noon game, whatever is going to work for them to win, that's what I'm for. But yes, I think this kickoff at noon is ridiculous. Like, we should get a bigger slice of the TV contract if they're going to keep doing this to us and go back in the NIL.
That's where me and Mello disagree, because they said that, right? But in my mind, I'm thinking there is no way these players can't like playing at night in that environment less than they like playing at noon, right? With a less turned up environment. You're telling me they would rather a noon game or the Tennessee atmosphere? Which one is a player they're going to want? So in my mind, in that interview, it's kind of like they got to stay positive. They can't change it. They're playing at noon, so there's no point in saying anything but positive things. We hear that a lot from players in the interview. They are trained very well to do interviews, but even if you just cancel the interviews out, we didn't hear anything from them. It's like, is it really? Would you guys seriously debate whether they like playing better at noon or at night in that environment? And then you also got this aspect. We're going to play at noon when we get Texas at home. Next year, when we got to go to them, guess what? They get a night atmosphere. Prime time. So we lose not a lot. I would say it's a 1.5. You could probably swing. Vegas will probably give you 1.5 on that. You know what I mean? Like, they give you 3 points for a home game. Yeah. Why do you think they do that? Because of how intense the environment is for the home team. That's why they do it. So it all comes down to money. It all comes down to the past Big Ten commissioners signing this deal without thinking that stuff through. I've heard he wasn't the best dude at his job. And when I see this, it's just like, well, can't really argue that. Maybe he did some other good things, but this here, I don't know about it. And then you also hear people still debating, because when Fox put it out, they said noon game, and then they retracted it and all this. It's going to be at noon. It's a noon game. There's no other games that week that Fox is going to put at big noon. This will be one of the top viewed games of the year. One of the top viewed, regular season games of the year. They're not going to give that up at all. It will be a noon game, I promise. And there's nothing Ohio State can do about it, but it's disadvantage all over the place. On the field, I think it is. Recruiting, I think it is.
That's 100% recruiting. There's no doubt about that. You can't get guys from Miami to come up after a Friday night game and get there by noon.
Yeah.
Especially the guys mid-range that aren't able to drive, that would be driving in the first place.
Dude, we know recruits last year that couldn't make it. They didn't make it in time. You know what I mean? They would try to come for the game, and if your flight gets delayed by an hour, you miss it. It's done. It's over. And that happened a couple different times to recruits last year. We talked to them. They told us, but it's not that as a fan, just as me personally, as a fan, if I'm watching the game at home, I don't really mind watching it at noon versus watching it at 7:30. That's not a big deal to me. I don't mind waking up and not having to wait to watch the Buckeyes, right? I can watch it and get out and go. You know what I mean? If they play at 7:30, then I got to sit here all day long, and I don't really want to do anything because I want to get rid. Because when I watch at home, I watch by myself in my room I don't want nobody around me. Like I'm crazy. So, but it's mainly for the, you know, the players and the atmosphere and the recruits. And I mean, it's just part of that's what the horseshoe is the nighttime atmosphere, right?
Yeah.
That's just part of the identity of Ohio State, of the historic horseshoe, is that environment from the passionate fans, mainly at nighttime. You know, that's just what it is. It's just kind of like part of your identity is being taken when you don't get that chance. We're going to have 5 noon games this year, man. I bet you all of our home games are going to be at noon. It wouldn't surprise me.
Yep. And then we'll get a prime time when we travel to Washington. We'll get a prime time whenever we go somewhere difficult. It's going to be a night game.
Yeah.
Right. And then they'll give us like Grambling State at 7:30 on the Big Ten Network.
I know, man. So there's several things about it. Well,
man, listen, Penn State better be a night game. It better be a night game, November 1st.
That's possible actually, because
there's a couple other games that
the Fox gets the top 3 picked, right? So they already got their 2 from the Big Ten.
Yeah, team up north game with us,
and Texas.
Then this Texas game.
So they may take another.
They're going to take the Penn State game.
What other one would they take?
They're going to take
what other one would they take? There's nobody else.
Hold on. How did they get the top 3 picks first? How did they get to pick the first?
That's the contract.
They own 61% of the Big Ten network. I mean, they're all invested. It's theirs for the taking.
Yeah, and the truth about it is, man, is in the Big Ten, Ohio State's the big daddy by a large margin. It's not really close. Like everybody's trying to bring up Oregon, and I'm just like, no, not even close, man. They have nowhere near the amount of fans that even remotely close. Like, no. I mean, they might be the flashiest with all their new Nike stuff and what they're paying their recruits, and Dan Lanning stripping down, jumping in the pool with recruits, getting attention. You know what I mean? All that stuff. But nah, man, Ohio State, as far as TV ratings go, I mean,
they're going to make Rutgers the night game.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
going to be Rutgers.
It'll feel like a noon game.
Yeah. Nobody's going to show up.
Yeah. Did you know that Big Noon had the Oregon Ohio State game last year and traded it?
For what?
To NBC.
Yeah,
I don't know what game they traded it for. They sold it for another game. Because it would have been 9 a.m. It would have been 9 a.m. on the West Coast.
I remember hearing about that.
So everyone gets a favor but Ohio State. They're using that as an excuse to say, hey, this is working. We should keep it at noon. You're going to get those ratings no matter what. It's Ohio State, dude. You're not doing anything special. You put a game on for Ohio State, it's going to get ratings, especially against good teams.
I literally think out of the top 10 most viewed games last year, Ohio State played in like 5 of them. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
But I would have to double check that. But I mean,
that's almost a regular occurrence.
I know. I was going to say, I mean, even if you take out the playoffs, just stick regular season, that's still going to be it's still going to be the occurrence. But we'll start wrapping this up here with one thing that we could talk about all day long, but I just got to know, Steve, I got to know, man, is there a way that you can help our brothers that we love so dearly up north, man? They're really struggling right now with how to just grasp reality by the horns and hold on to it, man. They're not grabbing the horns. They're grabbing the feet right now and getting dragged. We need them to get on the top and start riding this thing. They're not doing it, man. They're getting stompled on over and over and over again. What's up, man? What can we do? What are we going to do?
They're just going to have to start bending over and taking it. They're not riding. They're going to be the one getting rode.
Hold up. Is there baby oil involved? I need to know.
I do not. Well, I don't know. You'll have to ask some of their.
Why did I feel? I felt that comment coming as I'm talking about riding and being dragged. I just felt like, this would be perfect if he just,
just you set it up, and man, I had to take it.
Knocked it out, man. Knocked it out the park. But no, in all seriousness,
I'm gonna swing.
Yeah, for sure. In all seriousness, Sharon Moore, self-imposed, third and fourth game of the season, bro. You know what I mean? Let me pick, it's like, hey, Devin, you're going to prison for a year. Yeah, but I really want to do like 5 days at a time. And I'm only going to be able to do 5 this month, right? So you're going to have to push this back maybe a couple, 3, 4, 5 years. Then I'll serve the rest of my time. And then these little rumors going around, right? Bryce Underwood, some nil money, right? There's several reasons why people are trying to find out, man. Is it because of these restrictions that might possibly come on nil and they're going to have to lower this because there's a cap on it? Or are the, the supporters of the program starting to see that, hey, this thing's about to burn to the ground? I'm not giving millions of dollars to a team that can't even play in the playoffs. So that's a little bit more for you to respond to than grabbing the feet and being dragged.
Well, you know what I'm going to go with? I heard today with Santa Ono leaving, it might be more of he's leaving before they get sued from all of these athletes that had their stuff stolen. 100%. Rather than waiting through that storm. And it does have to do with football. Like if you talk to any Michigan person, Michigan man, those people that do everything morally by the code, would never want to cheat, right? That's beyond anything a Michigan man would do. But they would say that, all right, it's all about academics. How much research money Michigan brings in. A president doesn't care in the world about what's happening in athletics. Well, they do when you have that smear campaign going, which is about to happen. It's starting, right? Even from a national narrative, Joel Klatt completely changes his tune where, hey, they deserve it. If you know anything about football, their cheating scandal didn't make a difference. It's all the people that know ball realize that. How do you get that disconnected, Joel Klatt? I don't understand it. It has to be a narrative push from someone above you that doesn't know football. Because obviously, if you know the play, go see ball, get ball, and I know where it's going, it's obvious. I mean, there's not much more common sense than that left in the universe.
Yeah.
So to your point, yes, Michigan needs a lot of help. The NIL thing, I don't know. I don't think it has anything to do with what's coming down the line, because that can just be one of those things where you're like, hey, we can't. All right, there's the excuse. We can't. Everyone else can't too, so you can't go anywhere else and get what you think you're going to get. I think it has more to do with they got to preserve some funds right now because they're in for a big lawsuit from multi-billion dollars worth of athletes getting their privacy stolen. And anytime you see that, you see those class action lawsuits when Yahoo loses it and all those emails that they let out, they have to pay for people to have protection for so many years. I think it's 5 years is typically the case. All those athletes are going to have that. How many athletes were there?
A lot. Yeah.
And this is even bigger because apparently, allegedly, Michigan tried to cover it up for a little while too.
Yeah, that's been reported.
That smear campaign out there.
Yeah.
It's going to get nasty.
Yeah. That's a good point too, man. That's another aspect of it you don't think about, but it's so wild because of number one, the goalposts always get moved, right? Because now people are, and the problem is, man, is it's not just, scum fans that keep moving the goalposts, because even in the Ohio State realm, you have some fans that just say, hey, man, why the heck are we still talking about that? This is so old. Nothing's going to happen. The NCAA doesn't have a backbone. They're not going to do anything. But they're even starting to turn now and acting like they've known the hammer was going to come the whole time and all this stuff. Yeah. And it's like, no, man, you didn't. I watched your show 6 months ago. You said nothing's going to happen. Yep. And now you're acting like, oh, yeah, we know the hammer's coming. Man, come on, bro. But you got the excuse that, well, everybody's doing it. Oh, yeah. Everybody's dressing up in disguises and going and standing on sidelines, and we've never heard about it. You guys are the first ones to get caught. Really?
You know what I mean? And the other thing is the excuse that anyone can go into a game and use a cell phone. Yeah, But those people are recording the game and bits and pieces at a time. They're not recording the entire signal from the coaches. They're not zoomed in on the coaches across the field and seeing what their signals are and not recording the game, right? So, yeah, could anyone do that and send it to the coaches? Yeah, but who's doing that and who has access from the stands that's going to be like, yeah, I'm going to give this to the coach?
And the university was funding it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the nil place that plays all the players that was funding it, they were the official, they were official partners with the university. I mean, you know, the whole Uncle T thing. I mean, Spiro's the one that dropped that. I mean, that's a fact. That's not, we're not sitting here guessing. That is known. That can be proven. The NCAA knows that. You know what I mean? Like, there are so many things out there. And, you know, I mean, there's going to be a comment in this video, 13-10. That's literally all they have to go on. And I'll give you, you got us. I mean, you whooped our butt. Congratulations. You got us. You stomped us in, man. I mean, I don't know what else. I'm not going to make excuse. Will Howard, this, what, all that can be true. But that's football. We got our butts kicked, man. But it's like, yeah, is there anything else you have or whatnot? You know what I mean? No.
Oh, they beat Bama in the ReliaQuest Bowl. They got that too. That's it. That's the only two talking points for the entire season. Like they're pathetic. Their whole fan base is pathetic. Their culture is pathetic. The whole school is pathetic. And I can't wait until June 7th. And they're like, oh, you're just rooting for the NCAA to do what you can't do on the field. No, we're going to beat you on the field. You think you're going to beat us forever? Like, that's not going to happen. Number two, yes, I want to bask in your demise because I just don't like you. I respected the rivalry for a while. You disrespected it by cheating. You disrespected it by lying. You disrespected it by trying to rub it in our face. So now when you're down bad, I'm going to kick you. I'm just letting you know I'm going to kick you while you're down because that's what you did to us.
Are they the modern day SMU? Are they going to be known as that?
You know, they're the most sanctioned program in the history of collegiate sports.
That's what's
I mean, with the Fab Five.
No, I'm just talking about from this, the football team,
and
right
hockey
here.
and football. I mean, I can't.
Just talk about
dude,
the football program.
I asked other Buckeye fans this, Steve. I just got to know, man. Be honest, okay? I want you to imagine replace Scum with Ohio State. Put Ohio State. Already been over.
Okay, but Ryan Day would have been fired already, and in a public setting.
What would your reaction be as a fan? And when would that reaction have happened? The second the news came out, or what would have been your reaction as a fan?
You want me to be honest?
Yes.
I'd have been defending Ohio State just the same as Michigan fans have been defending Michigan.
Really?
Probably, yeah.
With
to a certain extent, yeah. I don't know. It's hard to flip that switch, man, because
you would have said that's not Connor Stallions.
On the sidelines. I don't know. I would have definitely said that there's a possibility it wasn't him. I wouldn't have said, no, it's not. I would have been like, yeah, there's a possibility it's not. I mean, I get it, though. I get it.
I
would have defended him for a little while, to be honest.
That's honest. I mean, that's honest. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's what we wanted. So,
yeah.
It's hard to differentiate that, like take those two and flip it. I there's definitely a chance that I would have been like, yeah.
So I'm gonna ask both of you.
I'm gonna defend them for a little bit.
Say we had an Alex Jude on our team trying to meet up with girls at Walmart or underage, whether girls, boys, it doesn't matter, just children, right? And both of you had that information beforehand. Would you, A, never report on it, B, wait until he got arrested and it came big, and then come out and say, oh, I knew that all along. I just wasn't going to report on it because A, why? It wasn't my business. Would you guys do the same thing and not report on that because you're fans of Ohio State? Or are you guys going to let him have it because
it's easy. It's easy to say, you just say allegedly, I don't know for sure, but this is what I'm hearing. It possibly could happen. And then I have contacts of my own that I could call and be like, yo, dude, you need to check into this.
Yeah, but what I'm asking you,
I know some people that bust guys like that.
If you knew for sure, like you knew, that it happened and the process was going to happen, would you report on it?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean,
What
there's
about you,
no
Dan?
doubt about it.
Yeah, I mean it's a nasty situation altogether. I wouldn't have handled it like that. I'm gonna be honest. I'm not sure my first move would have been to come on here and do a YouTube live and tell everybody about it. But I'm furious. I'm gonna find out for sure, and some people are gonna know, and Ohio State is gonna know too. You know what I mean? Like that would make me furious. But my first thought, if I'm just being honest, would not be to come on here on YouTube, just because the whole thing about it is just not a realm that I'm even comfortable. Well, the act in itself is not even something I'm comfortable talking about. I might come on here and say, hey, supposedly a coach has screwed up in a big way. And we're pretty upset. If this is true, I'm going to be pretty upset with Ohio State and how they've handled the situation. Like, I don't know that I would have dropped those details just because the whole thing, I'm just not comfortable with it. You know what I mean?
Might be true, but would you come back after it hit the news and be like, oh, yeah, I knew that the whole time?
No, I wouldn't.
Because to me, if I'm going to come back and be like, oh, I knew that, no, I'm going to report on it. Because number one, is the most despicable thing you could do. So at the end of the day, it's not even about Ohio State. I don't care. You're harming children. And maybe your reporting would get out there earlier and would save somebody or protect somebody from him. And like you said, if you want to protect legality, you just say allegedly. This is what I'm hearing. But at the end of the day, you have to have some kind of moral compass is what I'm saying. And the moral compass in and around that program, from the beat writers to their podcasters to their players to the president tweeting bet, and then he's going to bounce as soon as the punishment's coming out. But you were saying bet to the NCAA. Like, you're just as complicit as everybody else. It's just ridiculous. Their moral compass is not there. They're disgusting. They're despicable human beings. And it is what it is. And it's their whole athletic department for decades. It's not just the football program. It's everywhere up there. As a parent, I don't know how you send your kid over there.
Yeah. I mean, for sure. My first thing I would have typed up a big old email to Ohio State. You know what I mean? In terms of that, to try to protect. And if they don't respond and something like that, and I know it happened, I mean, sure, I'll hop on YouTube and put it out there. And make something happen if something like that's going on, for sure. But we'll see, man.
The thing is, if this would have been Ohio State, if you flipped the script and it would have been Ohio State, the whole university would have handled it completely differently. First of all, they would have turned it in, and a coach would have been fired. And before the coach left, the coach would have been fired. And Ryan Day has a moral compass. You can tell. He tries to be as honest as he can. If you sit in front of him or just listen to some of his press conferences, he tries his hardest not to lie. And coaches have to lie. Like, they have to hide some stuff. They can't be like, yeah, I know who my starting quarterback is, and he's playing awesome. He's definitely going to be the starter, and the other guy has no chance. Like, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
It's just not helpful in any way. But he tries to give you a little bit of insight without crossing that line, and he makes sure not to lie. Like, he has a moral compass, and a lot of coaches don't. And you can see that.
Yep.
And
you see it out west.
I don't think you would have got that far in Ryan Day's Ohio State, and I don't think you would have got that far in other, because of the administration. The administration's going to come down on you hard.
Well, and away. Because of the culture. I mean, the brotherhood.
Right now, the culture, for sure.
Yeah, you see how close everybody is. Like, that's real. That's one of the biggest things me and Mello have learned is, as a fan, when you don't have that inside access where, you know, we talk to players, we talk to coaches, you start to see that is true. You know what I mean? So if somebody's doing something like that inside the Woody and you're that close as brothers, right, in a positive manner, it's going to come out the light well before the public ever finds out about it. And they're not going to sit there and let that happen. I mean, a player, I'm a firm believer, if kids knew, if certain kids on this team, if Caleb Downs knew Ohio State was stealing signals, I'm not quite so sure that he wouldn't call the NCAA himself and say, hey, my team is cheating. Like, I don't know. I might be crazy. Maybe I'm crazy. But I don't know. I just feel like that's the type of kids and culture that is created at Ohio State. But again, maybe,
I mean, you saw
maybe I'm
Jim
crazy.
Harbaugh. He even came out and said it. We're going to win or we're going to die trying. So at all costs, we're going to do whatever it takes. Whatever it takes. And that's what it took. You go back and look at those records. I mean, you can pull up the records. They were mediocre, average team before the cheating scandal. They got really good. And then after the cheating scandal, they won a ReliaQuest Bowl trophy. Where would that sit in the Woody? Where would that ReliaQuest trophy sit in the Woody?
No one wouldn't even make it into the Woody.
It wouldn't make it. It's in the back shelf somewhere collecting dust.
Yep.
Yeah. You know, the
average,
biggest
mediocre. They're mediocre.
You know, the biggest piece of evidence to support that claim right there, the biggest factual numbers that you can look at is the covering of the spread, the Vegas numbers, right?
Yep.
Justin Spiro broke that down the other day. And I'm like, well, that's the most damning piece of evidence that there is in this entire thing, because you're dealing with psycho experts in the game. Like, Vegas wins money. Look at all the different bets and odds they put out. You want to talk about somebody that knows the ins and out of football and stuff. They adjust to teams. So let's say Megan or Scum beats the spread, 5 times. They're going to adjust and move that spread. And it's so funny. The 3 years they were cheating, I think the percentage that they beat the spread was record-breaking high. And then last year, back to normal, back to where they were when Jim Harbaugh first got hired, and 2018 before COVID hit. So close and identical. So it's like there's so many things that point to this happening and being a real life thing. So
I'm gonna write an article about that in the next week. Just the whole timeline, everything that went into this, and it's insane. And Michigan's response to it too, just utterly insane. Like, deny. And then you brought it up. I'm going to pick the games we're going to suspend him before, because he wants to play against his alma mater, right? You want to play against Oklahoma. If you want to slap the NCAA in the face a little more while you're going down, go ahead and do something like that. That just shows how naive and stupid this administration up north is. Why?
They have been.
Why would you even? It doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't make any sense. Like, they're trying to get punished. They're like, you're just baiting. Like, you might as well stick that carrot out there right now, because they're like, hey, go ahead. It's like playing with a dog. Like, go get it.
Almost got it.
Get it.
Almost got it. It's like that dollar.
Almost got it. Yeah, the dollar.
Got it.
Well, I mean, so Jim Harbaugh's punishment and these other coaches' punishments so far are only for recruiting violations. So we're not even talking about the recruiting violation, which was a huge violation. I mean, Jim Harbaugh is getting a 4-year show cause and 1-year suspension for Cheeseburger Gate, right? And you know what Scum offered up for that? A self-imposed 3-game suspension. So for those fans that want to think, oh yeah, this is it, this isn't a hammer, this is the deal. Michigan offered up 2 games for Sharon Moore. Well, they tried that with Jim Harbaugh, and the NCAA came back and said, nope, that's not going to cut it. We need 4 years and a 1-year suspension. You know what I mean? And that is just for deleting text messages, right? Like that's what they're trying to give that one to there. And then you got, coaches on the road not recruiting. I mean, I asked some of their fans the other day if they thought that was a big deal. Their response was no. One of them said, yes, it's a very big deal. But I mean, you talk about coaches being on the road right now. This is one of the most important times of the year. Like, show me a time in the next 5 months when you're going to have time to visit recruits on the road, So we could literally talk about this forever.
Yes,
but, we could do a whole show on it.
I know. You guys got anything else to add tonight for the show? We've been going strong for an hour and 15 minutes. It's time to shut her down. We'll get you back on here again, Steve. This has been pretty cool, man. Yeah. I like when we don't think we have stuff to talk about, and then you end up at the end of the show thinking, man, I have so much more that I want to talk about. It's weird how that happens.
Like, really, where did the last hour and 15 minutes go? Like, we didn't even hit on everything.
Absolutely. Yeah. So for me, I want to thank everybody for joining us. Just comment, like, share, subscribe, help support the channel, help us grow, get us out there. That's what we want to do. We want to bring more content. We want to give away stuff for you guys. So Super Chat works, become a member, all that good stuff. And I want to shout out my daughter. She had her track banquet today. Her first year ever running track. She's a Division I athlete for soccer. And she, in her first year, she ranked in the top 25 in the history of her high school in her 800-meter time. So that's a big accomplishment for her. And she did it on a hamstring pull. So I want to shout out my daughter, Amaya. I love you. Daddy's proud.
That's awesome.
That's big time stuff, man.
Yep.
We got to do trivia. Mo, I almost forgot. Yeah. So Steve, I don't know if you hip to our trivia thing we do.
Yeah, I've seen it for sure.
Yeah, giving away a Washington ticket. So,
let's
get this trivia. Yeah, let's get this trivia question in, man. See if anybody knows this one. I would not know this one, not even close. But here we go. Who made the longest field goal in Ohio State history with the 59-yard kick? What was his name? Some of these are hard, man.
Dude, that's a tough one.
Yeah.
59-yard kick.
Tell you who it wasn't.
It wasn't me.
Man, I know who you're going to say.
That was me, man. That's not a Will Star. Freaking got it, dude. Wow. Will Star got it. Wild.
Okay, Will Star.
All right. Will Star now has. Let's see. Where's Will Star at? I thought Will Star was on the list. Will Star, I don't see you on the list. Oh, no. Yeah, you are. You got 2 points now. There we go.
Will Star's on the rise, baby.
Yeah, he is. All right, Steve. You got anything else to add, man? Any final words for Buckeye Nation? You want to tell them how we're going to repeat this year or anything? What you got for us?
There is a damn good chance of a repeat. Keep paying attention because that offensive line is strong. The defense is stacked everywhere. It's going to be so much fun to watch this. We just got to get a quarterback to get Jeremiah Smith the ball. Once we know who that is, it's all good looking from there for the rest of the season.
Yeah, for sure.
Dad, Miller, you want to touch on this before we close out? Are you good?
We'll hit on it next time. I'm writing it down.
Okay. I'll put it back up there so you can see it.
I got it. That's all something. Right. I mean, they were all over internet today with the visits. But all right, guys, on that note, hey, we appreciate you guys. Like Mello said, man, become a member, help support this channel, hit subscribe, hit like, share the feed. You know what to do. On that note, we love you guys. We appreciate you guys. Go Buckeyes. OH.
I-O.
God bless.